1 in 5 suffer.
Erase the stigma.
Brain difference is not a crime.
Mental health isn't just your problem.
It's our problem.
And now, Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays.
I am Marla.
And I'm Dave.
We are Marla and Dave.
That's right. And today's show, as usual, is brought to you by NAMI, San Fernando Valley, and Loving Beyond Reason. We have a great show for you today.
We do. This is actually more like just, we have a show, a great show always.
Yes, I'm waiting for the caveat.
There's really no caveat other than the fact that this is our beloved child that has joined us.
Well, what Marla is alluding to is the fact that here on Mental Health Mondays, sometimes we like to kind of go back and forth between shows that are going to give you a lot of information and then testimonials from our celebrity friends. And
we happen to have a celebrity daughter. What?
We have a celebrity that lives in our family.
I gave birth to it.
Marla gave birth to a celebrity. I raised a celebrity.
We all hug and kiss a celebrity on a regular.
We fed, we raised her, and she's a mother herself. We are talking about none other than our daughter, Moniece Slaughter from Love and Hip Hop LA fame.
Yes. There she is.
And she gets an applause. Hello, Moniece.
Do you want to wear your headset? So you can hear?
Please remember to talk right into your mic so we can hear you. But yes, we're going to have a great conversation. Our story is not something that most people are unfamiliar with, and we're going to have a great time as usual right here on Mental Health Mondays as soon as we come back.
Help someone who is struggling by supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness and be a part of the NAMI effect. Hope starts with you.
Hey guys, listen up. Learn something.
Well, we are back. We are on, and we are going to have a great conversation. Moniece, how you doing today?
Good.
You doing good?
You know what? I have to tell you guys something, that this is one of those days where, to be honest, I'm kind of almost mimicking Moniece's low energy. I don't know what happened. I woke up this morning. I wasn't feeling emotionally my best. And so I think that the one thing that I would like to open the show with is that mental health, many things can affect your mental health. And so to say that I'm having a day where I'm off and I'm not necessarily feeling mentally well doesn't always mean that I'm mentally ill or that I have a diagnosis. So I think that that's one of the things that I wanted to jump into right away, because, you know, one of the things that I've watched through the years with Moniece's evolution and a lot of her life being played out on TV is the attacks. People are constantly using behaviors, what they see in her behavior a lot of the times, to shame or to, you're crazy. And I'm guilty. Not to her directly, but I mean, through the years, we've had to learn because of interacting and understanding that to use words like crazy seem to be a problem. So, Moniece, I wanted to jump in right away, and I know that you get a lot of praise, but also shame online. Is there a trigger word? Is there something that you hate to hear about you?
Not anymore.
What was? Do you have triggers that you remember that like really just would drive you nuts?
Not necessarily triggers. Just either I want to be bothered or don't.
Well, I have a question for you, Moniece. What we've learned in our family is not to really focus on diagnosis because whatever you call something, the label doesn't matter. What really does matter is how you choose to be proactive in taking care of yourself. How important is a diagnosis in your mind?
In my opinion, I would say a diagnosis is only important I guess like in the beginning so that you can get proper treatment.
So you can get
Like after that, who
for your
really cares?
medication and
Get an understanding.
It has for the DSM. So would you like to share what your current diagnosis is, or is that something
From
that?
what I know, situational depression, social anxiety, mild ADHD.
Now, what is situational depression?
Depression triggered by a particular situation, but when you have a depressive state, it's clinical.
This is kind of a hard conversation for me because, to be totally honest with you, this is really more, in my mind, designed to just be an open discussion because she's our daughter, and so we raised her. So what I'm saying, I wanted to just start by saying, Moniece, on a scale of 1 to 10 today, how do you feel? 1 being on the worst feeling mental health day, or 10 being I feel amazing. Where are you? What's your scale?
I mean, I was having a 10 day. I just don't like leaving my house and doing interviews. Now I'm at like a 4. And I'll be back to a 10 when I get home.
Right.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
part of
So
my
is this
social
one of those
anxiety.
situations?
I don't like. It's not a situation that's going to send me into a depression, but this is socially. This is not what I want to do.
So what's different for you? What was different for you? We raised you. You grew up in our house, and the one thing I haven't asked you ever is what was the difference with your mindset when you were filming on TV? Was that hard because you have to do things upon being asked? You have to do things that are upon cue.
No, after a while, I just realized I'm the talent. So if I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it.
So you
But
just
before
stress
that,
me.
did it make you stressed out? And did you deal with anxiety at the beginning?
Yeah.
Is that because?
It was like when you would take me in the studio as a teenager. I just get awkward. I don't.
Well, we knew from the
I don't
day
like
that we
for you to
first,
tell me what to do.
from the day that you first learned how to talk, you talked almost, by 1, and literally haven't been quiet since, except in social situations. So it seems like you have sort of a social anxiety.
That's what I just said.
Yeah,
and
my
you- and you-
official diagnosis is social anxiety,
Okay, so
mild ADHD, and
But we're not
situational
social, so
depression.
then it has to be that she also just doesn't like. She just said she doesn't like to leave home because she comes over to our house and she.
I don't like to be anywhere that's not my jam.
Your
what does that
jam.
mean? Your jam,
My
like your family.
jam.
You're like, because
Yeah,
when you're
like-
with us, we're just hanging out, like we're doing
And
right
we-
now.
but it's
plan.
not a thing that I feel obligated to do. I can.
So you really just want to do what you want to. You feel better
Yeah.
if you're in control of.
I don't like interviews. I don't do interviews. When I do interviews, people then go, "Oh, I just realized we don't ever really hear you do interviews." I don't like it. I don't.
Now,
want
why don't you like doing interviews? Does that trigger some social anxiety a little bit?
For 6.5 years, like Mom said, I had a job where I had to talk to make money to survive. So now it took all the.
So that was a lot of energy to do
So
that.
now I don't want to do it anymore.
So you're kind of retired from interviewing. Is that what you're saying?
Huh?
You're retiring from interviewing.
No, I actually, after season 2, just said I don't want to do them anymore. So I turn them down constantly.
Okay.
Well,
They make me anxious.
the interesting thing about that is, as we share a conversation. I really want to transition because, of course, being your parents and raising you, we're always learning. Right now, I'm learning, so I stay open to.
To not going off. Good job.
I stay open to accepting and to understand that, so it's so easy for us, especially as parents when we have kids, to see them in the light of what you feel their potential to be and your expectations, and then to shift into understanding their own nature. And Moniece is also a mom of our beautiful grandson, who we love, all of us, in a sickening way. But I want to know, Moniece, when we come back from this break, what have you learned about your mental health that you think that you can help Cameron manage as you guys go forward as a parent?
And we'll be right back.
When Dave and Marla get together, it's hot.
You may not realize it, but these words, often used to describe someone with a mental health condition, can be very harmful. In a country where 1 in 5 people are affected by a mental health condition, it's time for all of us to step up and change the conversation. Just because someone's struggle isn't obvious on the outside doesn't mean they aren't hurting on the inside. We need to see the person, not the condition. Join with me, pledge to be stigma-free.
It's time for the Mental Health Minute with Marla and Dave.
So when it comes to mental health, many people believe that therapy and self-help aren't necessary when a simple prescription or pill will suffice. The fact is, specific treatment for mental health problems varies depending on the individual and could include medication, therapy, and in many cases, both, according to mentalhealth.gov.
Many individuals choose to build and work with a support system during the healing and recovery process. Having a good support system and engaging with trustworthy people are key elements to successfully talking about your own mental health and is often the very first step to helping you heal, grow, and recover.
A support system can include a trained mental health professional, a parent or family member, a teacher, and or a faith healer, or maybe even all of the above.
When building a support system, remember, in addition to good advice, look for someone who can assist you in taking action that will help.
This message is brought to you by NAMI San Fernando Valley and Loving Beyond Reason.
David is a thinker.
I never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together,
It's like a match dancing with a firecracker.
Sometimes I wonder which one of us is the match and who's the firecracker. But anyway,
Feel like either, honestly. I don't know.
well, what a lot of people don't know is that when we were having a really hard time with our son, DJ, and his medication, out of the blue, Moniece got on the phone with DJ, and I remember this clearly, and said, you know, we got to do what we got to do, bro. I take my meds. They make me feel better. I get my rest. And that was, you might not know this, Moniece, that was a big key for DJ getting back on his meds. We appreciate you for that.
You're not just a
one ever
mother.
told me.
You're not just a mother. You're a damn good big sister. Look at you. You're new Davy.
So how long did it take you to titrate?
I asked her the question about Cameron.
Oh, we get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Before we get to that, how long did it take you
Sweetie.
to titrate your medication to where you felt like it was something that you can deal with on a long-term basis?
It took a long time.
And could you explain why?
It took like 7 months.
7 months?
Almost 7 months.
That might feel like a long time, but that sometimes happens.
Are you asking when you go to because of course you're a very grown adult, when you go and see a professional about anything related to your own?
Well, there's two, because in the state of California, your PhD can't prescribe you medication.
Correct. It
Your
has to be your
MD has to do it.
psychiatrist, right? Which is
So
an
a
MD.
psychiatrist.
Right. But my question is that when you go, are you asking for something to deal with a symptom? So, for example, when
Yes.
right. So
I
what?
don't know how everybody else does it.
That's what I'm only asking you.
Well, yeah, I mean, they ask you, what's wrong with you?
You
they
diagnose
say-
yourself?
Or they say, yeah, I mean, or they say like, oh, what are you feeling? They'll ask you like, are you struggling financially? Because I guess in the United States, that's like the number one,
Reason for depression?
yeah, and,
Wow.
and suicide. People get financial, like they're just
Stressed out.
With
stre-
no
and
money.
They can't deal. So they ask me questions like that. They'll ask me, are you in a relationship? Or if the answer is yes, then they'll ask you like, oh, what's going on in your relationship? Are you employed? Are you unemployed? What is either one of those doing to or for you? Do you have kids? What is that dynamic like? Oh, you're single. Okay, so you have a co-parent. And what's that relationship like? How's your child doing in school? Do you know why? Do you think it's because of something you're doing or not? So they go like,
In depth.
but the key is you have to like tell the truth.
Right.
That's the thing. It's pointless.
If you need help, you might
Which
as well
is
be
why
honest.
a lot of people end up with medication that we see a lot of people actually go crazy and you go, I always go back to that moment with Tyrese when he was going through the custody battle and everyone was on the internet laughing at him because he was
Moniece.
I don't mean to laugh.
You're laughing now.
I'm laughing now and the video replays in my head, but he was he did like a selfie video and he was like, what do you guys want from me? And so it became a meme.
Mm-hmm.
But what ended up happening was he was really going through it like during the custody battle.
Mm-hmm.
And he like found a new wife and
You was wearing him down.
basically like he got married, the baby mama wanted more money. She like took the kid, made all these allegations. The point is they had put him on a medication.
Right. That was
and
not
it
agreeing.
wasn't appropriate for
His needs.
his needs.
Right.
So, and you see that a lot in the industry. Doctors will just whatever.
Moral of the story, be honest with your doctor.
Correct.
He or she, your physician is not going to, they cannot legally reveal any details about what you discussed with them. So that's your doctor. Be honest.
Unless you're
It
a
helps.
minor.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was one of the reasons that I asked that question, because I think that, in other words, are meds in that state just to have a general effect, or is it to help you to sleep, or
Well,
to
for me, mine is
help you to focus?
I
or-
needed to focus. I needed to sleep, but not just sleep. I needed my brain to shut off, and then I needed
So
to.
you have
I
so
needed
mind
to have-
racing.
yeah, they call it thought racing. Then I needed to have an appetite.
So you were so hot, you were so energy all the time that you was like speed, like natural brain speed.
It's not even energy because I didn't have any energy.
But you
I didn't have the energy
So it
to
just
do
suppressed your
anything.
appetite.
Well, not sleeping throws your body clock off.
Of course.
So then you aren't eating properly.
Which
So by the time I would wake up, I wasn't hungry because I was up all night. All I wanted to do was feed Cameron, drop Cameron off to school, come home, sleep till Cameron got out of school, pick something up. But I would wake up to go get him from school and I would have a headache. So I would take BC powder with a Red Bull or Coca-Cola. So
Right.
then I developed a real life ulcer. So that was horrible. Hypertension.
So you
That's
created other
horrible.
problems because of the issues that you weren't really able to fix with your
Correct.
mental health management.
So on the last season of the show, everybody saw me unbothered. I had a host of health issues. Lest I allow myself to be bothered.
right,
I,
you
at
were
the time, was 98 pounds. So
kind of self-medicating to get through the season.
correct.
well, my question to you originally was, now that you know,
And now I smoke the devil's lettuce.
Okay.
Smoke responsibly.
okay,
No, it's a really good topic actually because
Well, hold on.
Except
I think Mom is trying to get a question
No,
about
let
that.
her
let Mom get her
no, let her
question.
finish because she's still in the. You started about the titration, so she's still in the.
it's okay. What's your
I have
question?
to
We'll
say-
get back to the devil's lettuce.
No, because I'll let you deal with the Cameron issue because it's going to turn the conversation in a completely different direction when we come back from the next break. But speaking of the devil's lettuce, I really want to say, I do now understand that there is a value in medicinal
Medicinal
marijuana.
value.
Yes. However, I think that that's very, 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 very touchy. Because in the case
problem
of
the
Yeah,
problem
but
with
you have to
medicinal
do
marijuana is that usually you're not in cooperation with your
yes,
doctor.
you're just
That's what I was gonna
recreational
say. My doctor broke down
blunt smoking.
how to deal
how
with
to
it.
do it, how to deal with marijuana. And so I alternate sometimes. So during the week that I have Cameron, I don't want marijuana in my house.
Exactly.
So I take my medication. During
That's
the weeks
responsible.
that I don't have Cameron, I will experiment
To see
with
which works
different
best.
devil's lettuces
Products.
within.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
It's true.
All right, it's time for the poll break, and we'll start with the results from last week's poll. Last week's poll question was, people who suffer from depression have a higher chance of developing cardiovascular and metabolic diseases than the general public. How much higher? Your options were 20%, 30%, or 40%, and the answer was 40%. Wow. That's
You got to start voting, Moniece. There's
that's pretty
prizes.
deep. Marla, go on with what's the poll question for this week?
Next week's poll question is, what percentage of mental health disorders show first signs before a young person turns 14 years old?
Your
So-
options are 25%, 50%, or 75%.
So I'll repeat that right quick.
Yeah.
What percentage of mental health disorders show first signs before a young person turns 14 years old?
That means very young. And anywhere on our social media that you see the poll question, please engage, take the poll, see what you learn. It can be informative and
Or you can
helpful.
be right.
We'll be right back. All right, so you were saying, Moniece,
Speaking
that
of-
you've actually gone with your doctor and psychiatrist, and they deal
He
with
broke down.
marijuana products.
He asked me, "Have you ever?" And this was in the beginning of treatment, so 3 years now. He asked me, "Oh, do you smoke weed?" And I said no, because I didn't. I wasn't even drinking 3 years ago. So he left it alone. We did the medication. So boom, finally got the dosage right, the type right.
The titration process. You
It
got
went
through
through
that.
the
You were
whole
working with
thing.
it.
And then I kept going. He kept raising. So every 3 months he would raise it 50 milligrams. So I got up to 200 milligrams of Seroquel. But then I noticed that every so often I was like immune to it. So then I was back to not sleeping. So he strongly urged me, but I said I won't know really what kind to smoke. I don't want to smoke to be high.
Right.
Like it needs.
You wanna go to sleep.
I want to go to sleep and
Right.
eat. So long story long, he breaks it down. I do a new SSRI test, which for those that don't know, that's to test your serotonin levels. Serotonin controls short-term memory and mood. And so I was not. There's 1/3 missing.
Oh.
So you were at
she had a
66%
deficit
of serotonin
of-
levels?
Correct. So I had
Wow.
a deficit of 1/3. So he felt like it would be good. So once I knew exactly
What it
how
w-
much serotonin I was lacking, he said I needed a non-psychoactive indica dominant hybrid. So anything that's
Right.
not going to make me
Right.
start thinking, want to
Right.
Sativa, which
be
makes
like,
you creative
like a
and
pothead,
you're
like,
right.
oh, I wonder if Medusa has tiny snakes.
Philosophizing.
Yeah.
Is that what?
I didn't want to.
Leave it to
Didn't want to be
Moniece.
that.
She's funny, by the way.
I didn't want to be that kind of
Pot
Pothead,
smoker.
yeah.
Pot user.
pot. Yeah, medicinal
We're-
marijuana
That's how you
user.
know that
Yes.
we're all kind of old. We're calling it pot.
Yeah. So
Like,
from
pothead.
there, I didn't like the way smoking made my throat feel. It was stripping my throat.
Did you move to
So-
edibles?
So I moved to edibles, and
A lot of people have a hard time
you guys
with edibles.
must be very careful with the edibles. I thought I was supposed to eat half. I should probably not eat half. I should probably eat a quarter, because I did get too high on accident, and by that time, it was too late. Normally, I only take 2 to 3 puffs of a pre-roll, and then I just brush my teeth. I have my snacks bedside, which make me hungry when I wake up, which is the
Exactly.
point, and I go to sleep. That's it. Well, I ate the edible, and it just wasn't right.
Backfired.
It was
Way
crazy
past.
Because once it's in there, it's in there. So all I could
True.
do was drink a bunch of water,
Right.
and pee it out.
Is that
And
what they recommend? Water?
They recommend. It's
Well,
just like
it's-
when Queenie ate the weed nugget, and I had to take her to the vet, and they put there's a little
She's talking
pocket
about a
of
dog
skin.
that she had in the
A
past.
Pomeranian ate a weed nugget, my roommate's mother's weed nugget, and when I took her to the vet, they gave her an injection of water in the back of her neck. Dogs have like a little pocket or
Oh,
whatever.
wow.
And every time she peed, the pocket got smaller. So by the end of the day, she was eating
Back to
and
normal.
Yeah.
All right, so Marla, you had a question about Cammy
I
Cam.
just it's not even a question about Cameron. It's just that with Moniece's journey, and it's been a journey. Like you're talking about learning different things about what works. It's about identifying a particular behavior, and then our poll question kind of led to that, which is how soon children begin. What's the percentage of children who have obvious mental health challenges before the age of 14? So, as someone who deals with mental health challenges yourself, what are you concerned with Cameron and his behavior at all, and what would you say going forward as a mother to your son? What would you do to look for mental health differences in Cam, and if you feel that there's something amiss, what would you, as he gets to be older, what would you say to help a mother deal with their kid, and what would you say to help your child deal with their issues if their issues are
Okay,
present?
great. Let's go one thing at a time. So in Cameron, I notice he has extreme anxiety already.
Right.
Cameron gets very anxious. Cameron
What does that look
also-
like? Does he?
He's mean. He gets mean.
Or he's also. I've
He-
also
he-
heard him
he-
say it. I'm his grandmother. He also says, "Michi, I'm just right now. I'm full of anxiety," and I'm like, really?
Yeah, he gets
But it's
anxious.
good that he knows the
Yeah, I'm just
terminology.
saying.
I broke down, just like when he was little, and I taught him the word similar. I broke down anxiety because I used to say to him, Cameron, you seem anxious. I don't even know what that is. You're anxious. It's okay. So yeah,
So he already has.
he has severe anxiety. So he doesn't sleep. He doesn't sleep. He has poor eating habits. No matter how, I actually had to set a timer, which is what I do now. So every hour, on the hour, I ask him if he's hungry. He says no. And at 3 hours, whether he says yes or no, I make him sit down and eat something.
Are you guys willing with those things on board to actually? Do you feel like a formal therapeutic approach at this point is appropriate?
No.
Why not?
And the reason why I don't think, it's not that I don't think it's appropriate or inappropriate. I think Cameron feels at this point emotionally safe on this side of his family. So
You were literally trying to establish his safe zone and support
Normalize,
system
correct. So
before you move into formalizing.
some things seem extreme. So, for instance, now cursing is no longer cool to him because I noticed he was listening to all the songs with the curse words. So I just started rapping and singing the curse words full out, but so corny that now it's embarrassing to him.
You've learned the embarrassment technique.
Yeah, so
I'm
now
proud of
he's
you.
like, Mom, my friends their parents aren't gonna let them come over if they know you curse to the rap songs on live. And I was like, oh, so it's not cool. So now cursing's not cool, right? But now
So that's
I've taken all
information
the
he's getting
wind-
outside.
Correct.
Right.
So I've taken all the wind out of the cursing sails. So I just try to normalize terms like depression, anxiety. I don't hide them.
Well, right quick before we leave this page, when did you first realize that social anxiety was part of your nature?
Once I got on TV.
So you don't remember back in elementary school that it
When
was
the girl called you the
dropping
amoeba,
you off, or
and
dropping you off at
you
school
ran?
was difficult? Or is it that you didn't
I
put
thought
two and
that
two
was
together
normal.
back then?
I thought, who isn't nervous to like go to school? Like I'm gonna go to school with a bunch of stranger kids and be like, "Hey, let's be friends." Like that's weird.
Well, I can remember a couple times that
It
Moniece
takes
actually
time to
had a
make
couple of
friends.
severe anxiety attacks when she was actually
Yeah,
in,
because I
In
was
high school.
failing math. I was gonna come home with my first F on my report card. I didn't know what to do.
We'll talk about we'll conclude when we come back. This has been very interesting. Thank you for playing with us, Mo.
And by the way, you're listening to Riches by Moniece. On the way out.
She doesn't. Said she doesn't.
Worthless.
Don't trust them. They'll hurt you. You're worthless.
It's pointless.
When the pain of schizophrenia meets hope, everything can change. Help someone who is struggling by supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness and be a part of the NAMI effect. Hope starts with you.
It's raw, real, and unfiltered.
Well, we're back. We have David and I have to do. We're going to commit to probably at various times a couple of shows. We see that people are very appreciative of this topic. We're glad that Moniece came to join us. But as parents,
Don't hide it from your kids, people.
as parents who have always supported transparency, we do have a lot of experience with pre and post diagnosis with both of our children. Mm-hmm. So we just appreciate Moniece's honesty always.
My younger sister's mentally ill too. Just no one will listen to me.
I say this, that what I can tell is, Moniece, you mentioned that the show was a great source of the trigger for your mental anxiety. Mm-hmm. And now that you're no longer on the show,
I feel great.
You calmed down quite a bit.
Feel effing fantastic, Dad.
Okay. Thank you for
very-
bleeping yourself.
And
Spare
I'm
the
glad
curse
you
word.
feel fantastic. Yeah, Moniece has been a great guest. Next week, we will be talking with Jim Randall. He serves on the California State Board. He's the NAMI training coordinator for LAPD, and he produces the e-blast for NAMI San Fernando Valley newsletter. And we'll have a great conversation next week with Jim Randall.
Well, it's been another amazing Mental Health Monday. We really are honored that our daughter would come and spend time with us, and we always know that Moniece is going to come with her
Thank you,
true,
Moniece.
transparent self. So today was nothing but expectations and a pleasure. So we
And
appreciate
remember, your overall health includes your mental health. Take care of yourself, love yourself, and we will see you
it.
next week.